A couple of years ago, Mr. Boyer wanted to run for clerk of the court. Totally unqualified, and he did get the Republican nomination. The person that we supported, which caused the division in the Republican Party, was Sheila Bosiger, who had worked in the office for 25 years. She was the only qualified candidate. And divisions like this happen every once in a while in the Republican Party. I've been part of them before. And normally when the fight is over, the party comes back together and continues on. And we tried to do that after the Sheila Bosiger election, when Rick was overwhelmingly defeated, rejected by the voters of Campbell County. And it was Rick Boyer who ginned up the support to vote against us from being reinstated in the party. There has been talk about unity in this party, and under that type of leadership, there cannot be unity. We did not leave, we got thrown out. They refused to reinstate us. And that's why we formed an organization to support qualified candidates like Steve Hutcherson, who won with 85% of the vote. And my time is up. But if you want to unify this party, then I would ask you to vote to defeat this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wheaton. And because the rules passed unanimously, then the rule to limit debate to 2 minutes either side normally takes 2/3, but it passed unanimously, so the time limit on the debate stands, and I ruled that way. So now, since there's no further debate, we now move to the vote on the motion to amend the Nominations Committee report on the unit committee, removing those 3 names from the report. Does everyone understand what we're voting on now? Does anyone not understand? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so there was a Nominations Committee report nominating people for the Campbell County Republican Committee. 12 names, I believe, were presented. Is that right, Eric? Yes, sir. 12 names were presented before the body. A motion to amend to strike 3 names was made. That motion has now been debated for and against by both sides. Now we're moving to vote on whether or not we're going to strike those 3 names from the report. Does everyone understand? Okay. All those in favor of the motion to amend the report and remove the 3 names say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No! Unity!
Okay. I need to see a show of hands. Those people for the amendment, please raise your hands. Those people opposed to the amendment now. The chair rules that the amendment passes. Now we have to vote on the Nominations Committee report as amended. Is there any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the amended Nominations Committee report for your members of your committee say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Eric, I now need you up here, please, for a Nominations Committee report for members, for delegates to the 5th District Convention.
Mr. Chairman, the Nominations Committee reports that the following persons have duly qualified and pre-filed as candidates for delegate to the 5th Congressional District Republican Convention. Ann Smith, Jean Smith, Fred Smith, Laverne Smith, Bill Wheaton, Ron Farron, Rick Boyer, Christina Boyer, Imogene Smith, Tim Boyer, Carrie Boyer. Yes, sir, I apologize, Imogene Morris. Tim Boyer, Carrie Boyer, Dorothy Shea, Jeff Taylor, Kurt Feigel. The committee moves the acceptance of this report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any discussion on the Nominations Committee report for delegates to the 5th District Convention?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Would you mind having the chair of the committee read the names off one more time, please?
Sure would. Eric, please read them off again. In fact, why don't you hand it to me and I'll see if I can read. All right? Can I read here? Wow.
I
Delegate nominees to the 5th Congressional District Republican Convention: Ann Smith, Gene Smith, Fred Smith, Laverne Smith, Bill Wheaton, Ron Farron, Rick Boyer, Christina Boyer, Imogene Morris, Tim Boyer, Carl Boyer, Dorothy Shea, Jeff Taylor, Kurt Feigel.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a substitute motion.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor because it came from the Nominations Committee with respect to delegates to the 5th District Convention. Mr. Secretary, you have that in the minutes, please? Okay. The chair recognizes Mr. Boyer for the purposes of a motion.
Again, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize, I misspoke earlier. I said delegate when I meant unit committee member. Mr. Chairman, I make a substitute motion to strike 3 names: Fred Smith, Ron Farron, and Bill Wheaton from the list that was read. Again, for the same reasons.
No.
These folks have destroyed and damaged the hard work of folks who have put their names out there as Republican candidates.
Right.
Bill Wheaton wrote a number of, frankly, scandalous articles, character assassination pieces that furnished the ammunition that Connie Brennan used in her campaign of character assassination against Matt Ferris.
I know this is a passionate, emotional issue, but please, let's let one person speak, the person that's at the podium.
Again, Mr. Chairman, a delegate to the 5th District Committee is a party leader. It is a position of importance. It is a position of influence. It is a position where you vote on issues. Our supervisors have proven which side they're on. They're on the side of expanded government. The folks who are out there backing them against our limited government Republican candidates, for them to come back the very next 3-4 months later and say, we ought to be representing you and representing your views and values at the 5th District Convention. Frankly, I don't trust these folks to be electing conservative positions that are going to be determined at this district convention. And some of the stuff that was thrown out there against our great delegate Matt Ferris ought to absolutely shame us. I mean, to throw this stuff against a Democrat would be a little bit below the belt, folks. To throw it against the Republican is absolutely uncalled for. I am tired of folks who only support our candidates when they choose to getting away with the unity label after destroying the candidates that we have all invested our blood, sweat, and tears into. I'm not voting to strike everybody who disagrees with me. Gene and Ann Smith disagree with me. I want them left on. They're good, hardworking Republicans. But what Fred, Ron, and Bill did to this party and to its candidates was beyond the pale and should be rejected by folks that want folks who actually represent our views and values as 5th District delegates. Thank you.
Amen.
My name was left off as a list, both lists.
What was your name, sir?
Dennis Johnson.
Dennis Johnson?
Right.
You want to speak? Mr. Johnson, if you could just hold that for a second. We have a motion on the floor, a substitute motion.
Okay, I'll go check on it.
Okay, and we will come back to that. I believe we have exhausted 2 minutes for the substitute motion. Mr. Secretary, Mr. Boyer made a substitute motion. Did you get the second to that motion?
No, I didn't.
Second.
Was there a second to Mr. Boyer's motion? What was your name, sir?
Russell Elliott.
Okay, please record it in the minutes. In addition to this fine lady, who else wants to speak in opposition? Would you like, you have 2 minutes total, would you like to split the time or agree who's going to speak?
It's up to you.
Okay. Okay. 1 minute, vote.
That's ridiculous. I have no idea what I did. I have never said anything publicly. I've never put anything in writing. I've never made a speech. I've never provided any information against a Republican. It turns out that when I didn't vote for leaving the people who had been expelled from the party, I didn't vote to keep them out. I no longer got invitations to join to attending the meetings. All of a sudden, I was stricken. There is absolutely nothing. I would like to know. What did I do?
Mr. Chairman,
At this point right now, it's just...
I should not have included Mr. Farron's name. I did not intend to include Mr. Farron. I would ask that you would amend my motion.
Is this Mr. Farron?
Yes.
Okay.
I would ask to amend my motion to only include Mr. Smith and Mr. Wheaton. I did not mean to include Mr. Farron.
Okay, Mr. Boyer.
Mr.
Boyer is modifying his own motion. He can do that under Roberts.
Mr. Smith gave good answer.
Okay. So if, Mr. Secretary, if you'd make that amendment. Can you restate the motion?
Do I still have 2 minutes left? Part of my 2 minutes.
We're 1 minute.
Can I take?
We're at 1 minute. Whatever point I interrupted here, let me just figure out where the heck we're at here. So, Mr. Secretary, can you read the motion back as to what two names Mr. Boyer is proposing to strike from the list, please?
That would be Laverne Smith and Bill Wheaton.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
And
I
I
apologize. I did not mean to put
his
your name.
prior response was a point of personal privilege, which he was attacked personally, and that doesn't fall under that normal time limit.
Okay.
Okay, you can. I'll take a minute. You take a minute.
Go ahead, sir.
When I ran for Congress, and first of all, if anyone thinks I am not a total conservative, you're smoking something. When I ran for Congress, I had no idea. I never heard of Rick Boyer. I never heard. Someone asked me, "Did you check with the 5th District Chairman Tucker Watkins about running?" I said, "Who's Tucker Watkins?" I came into this not involved in any place except around my kitchen table, talking about politics. And I didn't know who stood for what, who voted for what. And in the last 2 years, I have learned from the ground up, not knowing, without preconceived ideas and anyone else telling me something and turned out it was a lie and somebody correcting me. And I will tell you right now that the people who have been asked to be stricken should not be stricken. They're good Republicans, and I hope you'll vote to vote this down. You got 2 minutes.
Thank you. Yes, I will extend you 2 minutes.
I'm Phyllis Floyd. I've worked in Richmond as Senator Newman's legislative assistant for 5 years. I worked with the federal government, with congressmen. I worked in George Allen's administration. I worked in Jim Gilmore's administration. And I'm considered to be pretty well in the know of character. And I certainly recognize character assassination. Now, how many of you don't normally come to the meetings, but you're here tonight? All right, maybe you got some of the voicemails I got that were very slanderous towards people that are no longer sitting in here. And I want you to know I've known these people all my life. And they're good, honest people. And nobody should own anybody's vote, including yours. And I have seen one person, I have seen some of the people actually go and talk to Dr. Falwell and come out of his office and run around the community talking because they didn't like the fact that he did not pray for them or something. And that is why I'm for, these people belong in here. You have no idea what's been going on, and it's the truth, because this group has not put out slanderous voicemails. And what you hear in your church or somebody come and tell you isn't necessarily all true. And I want you to know that around this county, if something doesn't happen with the Republican Party, I've not been in it because of this junk. And I'm very political. George Allen gives me a lot of credit for him winning the election because 2 of my friends and I actually put together the welfare reform movement in the state, and we got it passed. So I'm not a stupid person, but I want to tell you something. We don't need another dynasty, whether it's Kennedy or anybody else. And I'm listening to this little group you've got here, and a lot of it all has the same last name. Now wake up.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, that exceeds the time on either side of the
Chairman,
debate.
point of personal privilege.
Yes, sir. Mr.
Since
Wheaton.
I've been personally attacked, I would like an opportunity to respond.
Okay, how much time do you need, sir?
A minute.